Many thanks for your time on the marketplace today with me, Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Let's start off with the very first story. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has announced an 11.17% tariff increase for the recovery of total electricity revenue requirement for the regulated market. It takes effect from the 1st of July 2019. The PURC says it took the decision in considering some tariff proposals from stakeholders, including the VRA and the Power Distribution Services PDS. My colleague Norvan Akwa-Hayford has been following up on this particular development. He's joined me in the studio for some details. Now, Norvan, what else has the statement been saying?
Okay, so what the PURC have been saying is that, I mean, they had to take this decision also to support these companies. You're talking of the power producers who had, made a case that there should be an increment as far as, the revenues that they're generating. They had complained. If you recall, there was a consultative program or stakeholders met and they made presentations. That you're talking of GridCo, you're talking of VRA, you're talking of PDS, you're talking of the power producers, those from the enclave. Each and every one of them made a case why there should be an increment. And don't forget that at the time, some of them asked for as much as over 50% increment. But the PRC says that, look, considering all variables and looking at the market as of today, they think they can only grant the 11.17 or 17% that they have granted them today.
So we have energy experts, Kwadwo Poku, standing by on the phone. We're getting to him to also give us some more analysis on this latest figures. But what have the stakeholders been saying?
Interestingly, we got in touch with the AGI, and they felt that, yes, considering what is happening, this is needed to help show up the bottom line for these power producers. But when you talk to, that is the Private Enterprise Federation, the CEO, Nana, will tell you that, look, he feels that if you want to consider, then look at the market dynamics as of today and look at the fact that fuel prices and the rest are also going up. Things are not all that well, so they feel that this increment has come at the wrong time.
Is it to say the figure is low or high?
No, they think that it's something that shouldn't even have happened as of now. Maybe it should have been postponed, and let's see what happens, as far as the economy is concerned. You'll recall that when the Minister of Finance went to Parliament, that is with the 2019 budget, he did indicate that we're not going to be charged, or where the companies, the gas that we're receiving from the various fields, were going to be used by these power producers in this enclave. And we thought that that should have contributed to see, major reduction in the power tariffs in this country. But there's something that I want to bring to your attention in the statement that was issued by the PURC. And they did say, as a major policy shift aimed at enhancing the competitiveness of the Ghanaian industries, the Commission has eliminated the maximum demand charge on industrial customers, which is the special load tariff, SLT. It is expected that this policy will result in some SLT customers experiencing savings in the overall electricity bills.
So some good news for
these manufacturing companies and those within the free zones, enclaves, and all those who are in big business.
Now, the PURC also mentioned water charges.
Well, they have deferred the announcement for the water tariffs, and in their statement they were very clear. It said the Commission also has received tariff proposals from the Ghana Water Company, and the decision on this will be announced in due course.
Many thanks for your time. Norvan is with Joy Business. Let's now touch base with energy expert Kwadwo Poku on the latest increase in the power tariffs and its effect on consumers. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the marketplace.
Hi, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Now, I believe you are privy to the latest increase in the tariffs of power supply. Now, what is your latest reaction to this?
Well, let me clarify something quickly with what your colleague said earlier, that all the industry players, all the utility companies went to PURC and were asking for 30% to up to 50%. Let me bring a bit of clarity how the 11% was arrived at. You see, government, as you can remember, as far back as February, this increment of 30 to 50% was scheduled to happen sometime in February. But the government went to PRC and said, look, there's a lot that is going on in the sector. Government is negotiating gas prices downwards. Government is negotiating capacity charges with the PPA downwards. So some of these negotiations, PRC should hold on. And when it happens, it will bring some relief to Ghanaians. Through to what happened, we've been told that gas prices, which was about 7.8 per MMBTU, government has been able to reduce it down to $6.08 per MMBTU. Now, Car Power, AXA, and Finet, some of the big producers of energy, which is they're using HFO and some are using light crude oil, government has been able to negotiate their power purchase agreement to make some savings of about $500 million. And those are some of the mitigating factors that the government presented to PULC that made the increase not be the 30 to 50% that the industry thought it was going to be. That became 11%. So let us have that as a point out there that there was a mitigating factors done by the government to bring about 11%. Look, me and you don't like paying electricity, and we don't like paying any high price. But all we want to pay as little as possible. But as a country, I think we have to come to the point that when the going is good and there's reduction, we accept it. When the going gets difficult and there's a need to increase, we should accept it. 11% is difficult, especially for lifeline customers. 11% is difficult for industry, but it is becoming a necessary evil. I think this is not something that politics should come in. I've heard a lot of people trying to play politics with this announcement. You shouldn't. Because, look, we've heard from the NDC for some time now saying that the industry is collapsing. There's a lot of debt. If all these things are true, and we need to now shore up and make sure that the like of Dumso is in the past, that means we need reliable power. And to get reliable power, we need to be able to now take some of these bold initiatives. Some of us have been urging the government for some time to try and take the bold step and increase the tariff when need be, and I'm happy that it's done.
Now, Mr. Poku, taking the fact that, some power producers were demanding as high as 30% increase, with this 11.7, would you think they would be satisfied with the current figures?
Yes, no, you see, like I'm saying to you, in the past, gas was $9 per MMBTU. It was reduced last year to 7.8. That was when we had the reduction which everybody was happy about. Now, going forward, government has further negotiated the $7.8 to $6.08. So those plants that are using gas, they are getting the gas cheaper. Now, one of the biggest burdens for the government was the capacity charge, which is a take or pay. Whether we use these power plants or we don't use them, there was a certain amount of money that government was to pay. Now, government has been able to get some of these companies like Car Power, like AXA, like Finet, and Assortly to reduce the capacity charge. So the burden on government has also reduced. Now, taking all this into consideration, the savings that government has made looking at Car Power alone is over $500 million. When Car Power now moves from Tama to Takoradi, the savings even goes higher. So that is what has translated into the 11.17 that we see now. But if not for some of these mitigating factors from government, yes, it would have been 30%. But the industry will still be able to pay its bill. With this increase, why some of us were worried was that without the increase, the industry was suffering. Government couldn't pay bills. PBS is taxed with full recovery. And if you don't let them charge the realistic price, they will not be able to do the full recovery you want them to do.
And would you say increase? And would you say this particular figure now constitutes the realistic prices that we're talking about within the energy sector?
Yes, because PULC took the demand from the utilities, then the mitigating factor of what the government has been able to save with regards to the capacity charge and the gas price. They put it in their computers, and PULC is confident that the 11.17 that they've announced will now present a realistic price in the sector. So that going forward, we are hoping that the likes of all the IPPs like Car Power, Assortly, Finet, and all those companies will be able to be paid on time, and do so really and truly will be a thing of the past.
Many thanks for your input. Mr. Kwadwo Poku is an energy expert. He's been sharing his thoughts on the latest release by the PURC, which has now increased power tariffs to 11.17%. Meanwhile, engineers at Bui Power Authority say low charges power consumers pay for the power company's services is taking a toll on its revenue and operations. The power generating company produces hydropower to sustain the National Voltage Support and Stabilization Program. The Bui Power Authority has started routine maintenance of its 3 units, which will cost an estimated $4.6 million. Plant manager engineer Ebo Amwa pleads with agencies and departments paying less for consumption to start paying for the right power consumed. Prince Appiah has more in this report.
The routine maintenance exercise involves inspecting, cleaning, and replacing damaged or worn-out parts. According to engineers, the dam is required to undergo major maintenance every 5 years, besides annual minor maintenance. An estimated $4.6 million will be spent on the work, including training of engineers at the dam site. The other 2 units will subsequently receive attention. Engineer Ebuamwa is plant manager at Bui Power Authority.
The unit comprises of the generator, the turbine, the shaft and all this. And so what we are saying is that we need to dismantle all this once and gradually inspect and then, make sure that all the parts that we take are not damaged. It comes to a time when some of these parts are damaged. We've had experience within this time that we are doing the first unit. Springs breaking, bushings, eroding. So when you do the inspections and then you need to purchase parts, it's money. If you have the money, why not? Within 2 days you have it and then you get your parts going.
Management says low charges per consumers pay for the authority's services are taking a toll on its revenues and operations.
But what we know is that Ghanaians take the power and then they pay less. Do you understand? Yes, they pay less. We sell to ECG and then the other the mines and all these big companies. If they are not paying, then how do you buy the parts? Do you get me? So that's what Ghanaians should understand, that we need the money to be able to buy these parts from outside to make power run.
Terrible.
Yeah, terrible. Because you give ECG 100% and they pay about 70.
Management looks to exceed production target of 660 gigawatts for 2019, having produced 460 gigawatts of power before half of the year. Operations Manager Justice Tre.
All the maintenance plan for the year has been factored in our generation plan. So we know that for three months, 1 unit to go down, another 3 months, the other unit to go down, and the third one will go for 3 months. So the plan has incorporated all these maintenance issues or schedules in the generation plan, and we arrived at the 660 gigawatt hours. And as I'm saying, even at the end of on the first part of the 6th month, we've done 460, which means we have 200. We are the outstanding 6 months. We are going to use to generate 200, and which we can do. I'm thinking that we even end up being more than 660 this year.
Operations Manager Justice Tre says the dam has the potential to sustain the National Voltage Support and Stabilization Program. Prince Appiah reporting.
Let's turn away from energy now. CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says government is considering various ways of ending the impasse between Nigerian retail traders and their Ghanaian counterparts. One of these measures will be to make Ghanaian retail traders more competitive in the retail market. Yofi Grant was speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the 2nd day of the China Trade Week in Accra.
The Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, GIPC, is concerned about the recent tension between Nigerian retail traders and their Ghanaian counterparts. Speaking at the sidelines of the Day 2 of the China Trade Week, Chief Executive of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, tells Joy Business a high-powered government panel is currently meeting with the Ghana Union of Traders Association and the Nigerian High Commission to Ghana to find a lasting solution to the impasse.
Yesterday, we spent the whole afternoon with the parliamentary a parliamentary committee, for a Speaker's Committee of Parliament, that had the Committee on Trade and Investment, the Committee of Defense, to work out how these things work. I mean, how we can work these things out. It's an unfortunate situation, but at the end of the day, we want to see our Ghanaian enterprise grow. We want to see our Ghanaian investors and business people also grow. There are social implications, there are defense implications, there are international implications. So the committee that was formed a couple of months back to deal with it is also actively working.
So far, the Ghana Union of Traders Association says they keep recording losses due to the influx of Nigerian retail traders on the Ghanaian market. This, Yofi Grant argues, could rather be linked to a lack of competitiveness.
We want to create opportunity for our people. So how do we move this whole thing to see how we can incentivize our retailers to be competitive? Because once they are competitive and they can outcompete anybody come to the market, I'm sure this problem won't be there.
With high expectation of meeting a target of $10 billion by year's end, Mr. Grant believes the current impasse will not affect foreign direct investment from Nigeria.
It became a big social problem.
Nigerian authorities seem to be very disturbed. Could this affect FDIs from that side?
From Nigeria? Not quite. Not quite. I mean, we haven't seen it happen. We have had quite a number of requests from Nigerian investors looking at the Ghana market, but most of them are on actually manufacturing. They are not just only on the trading side. So we will. I think it's a problem that we will solve.
Section 27, Clause 1 of the Ghana Investment, Trade and Promotion Center GIPC Act 865 states that a person who is not a citizen or enterprise which is not wholly owned by citizens shall not invest or participate in sales of goods or provisional service in a market, petty trading or hawking or selling of goods in a store. But this provision, according to Guta, is being blatantly flouted by these Nigerians.
Well, so let's extend the conversation a little further beyond the shores of Ghana and want to know what exactly pertains within the sub-region in other countries. I've been joined by freelance journalist in Lomé, Togo. He is the person of Kamal Duni Tagba to also express to us what exactly has been happening. Kamal, you're welcome to the market.
Thank you for having me today.
So what happens within Togo with regards to retailing on the local markets?
Yeah, the retail market in Togo is quite dominated by foreigners, Nigerians, Malians, Nigerians, Burkinabe and other people from the sub-region, as well as Chinese and Pakistanis and Indians as well. They're out there, and most of these people, they sell in bulk, and then Togolese, who are the small merchants, also come to these people, purchase the goods, and then sell them in a small scale quantity.
In the retail market?
Yeah, they do sell in the retail market. They do sell in the retail market. For example, when you take jeans, Togolese are not real big importers of jeans, but the large importers of jeans are foreigners, Nigerians and Nigerians and Malians.
And they compete feverishly with Togolese?
Sure, they do. They have the investment, they have more money than Togolese do. They have a lot of money in banks, a lot of cash that they can spend on.
What sort of regulatory regimes have your government put in place to actually sanitize the sector?
There was in time some rebellion from Togolese retailers, but the government has come with a regulation to make sure that everyone, citizens from other sub-regional countries, can also participate in the market. So there is no dominance of local retailers on the market, but it's like an open market for everyone to chip in and also sell stuff. Yeah.
Now, so to you, what do you think should be done to actually?
Yeah, I remember 1 or 2 years ago I was traveling to Nigeria. Nigerian immigration thought I was Ghanaian, and because there was an issue here in Ghana. And for me, what is happening right now is just an opportunity for the ECOWAS to really explain what this original migration is all about. How we as a sub-regional citizens had to contribute in other countries' GDP and other related economic affairs. And so it's very important for head of state to meet today and discuss the third, because even though this international law is a major one, we had to make sure that the local inhabitants, population also get the fair share of the business that is taking place in the various countries.
Thank you very much for it.
You're welcome.
Kamal Tuni is a freelance journalist based in Lomé, Togo. Now, trade sector players are calling on government to create an enabling environment for women entrepreneurs to thrive. Executive Director of the Africa Center for International Trade and Development, Isaac Arthur, says the export sector provides vast opportunities that women can take advantage of when they are sensitized. He was speaking at the two-day workshop where over 150 women gathered to share ideas on the way forward for women-owned businesses.
Men sign these trade agreements, they are not able to disseminate the findings or the content, what it means. No research, in fact, is even done prior to signing these agreements for Ghanaian businesses to understand the implication of these agreements on their business activities. You know, if you take the Continental Free Trade, for instance, I mean, it's given 90% market access. You understand? So once you sign and you ratify, what that means that any African country that is a member, okay, can be able to access your markets. You get it? So if you don't put domestic policy in place to, you know, develop the productive capacity of your industries, I mean, you will have foreign products coming from other African countries that will come and collapse, you know, the local SMEs businesses, you know. So for us, it's a major issue for us, and we think it is time for the government to sensitize Ghanaians on some of these trade agreements, okay? What are the opportunities in there for them?
National Coordinator for She Trades in the Commonwealth Project, Shari Julianne Hammond, says women face a lot of challenges when they venture into entrepreneurship. So we are unable to play that story now. We'll certainly play it in Business Live later in the day. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. This is where we end the marketplace. Thank you very much for your company. Have a good afternoon.